Well, so sorry about that. There was some tech issues. We did warn you. um, but welcome back. And for those of you just joining us now, this is Long Ago, which is a virtual story time series that was done in collaboration with the Eastside Freedom Library and Elmi House Productions, where we take a look at heroes from around the world in different cultures. Really, the goal with this project was to make sure that we helped give you as many different avenues for finding comfort as possible. What we're doing now is we just work through the first bit, which was really all about giving you an opportunity to express what you're feeling, given everything that's going on in the world right now. That was led by the beautiful Autumn X, who performed 2 original songs for us. Then we went through working through Releasing Your Feelings, which was led by the lovely Rakira Snow, who just completed grounding and meditation exercise with us. And now we're going into the final portion of our project, which is finding escape. And how we're going to do that is by traveling to Somalia, which is the focus of this week. And for that, we have the lovely, I cannot speak, the lovely Sabrina Elba, who will be joining us. I'm so excited to have her. We will be reading the story Digder, which is a traditional Somali folktale. But before we do that, Sabrina will be joining us to talk to you a little bit about herself and to teach you a little bit about the wonderful country of Somalia. So please welcome her. I'm going to imagine that at home you are clapping for her as I am right now. Yay, Sabrina!
Hey.
Hey.
What a beautiful group of people you put together. I mean, I'm obsessed with Autumn, so thank you I'm humbled to be a part of this with those 2 amazing women. But yeah, this is exciting for you to do this for Minneapolis. I know everyone's going through a really tough time right now, but I think this is a really beautiful way for people to come together and be able to kind of talk about or have some release from what they're feeling through, meditation and song and story, like you said.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. We're very excited to have you.
So I'm Sabrina Elba. I am about to turn 32, so I should say 32-year-old Somali Canadian. I'm from Vancouver. And I am a UN Goodwill Ambassador, but as Abla knows, I like to travel the world now. And in light of that, it's funny that I'm hosting the travel section to Somalia. Digder is a common folk story from Somalia that resonates so much with me because I just remember my mom telling it to us when I think I was about maybe 9 years old the first time she told it to us. And Somali children are a bit tough because it's not the typical children's tale. We can really take in an aggressive story, but I do think there's a lot of threads from this story that can be taken to what's happening today. And one of that is, trying to help other people like her daughter does and to find purity in yourself. So I'd love to be able to start reading the story, or would you rather we talk a bit about Somalia first?
Yeah, can we tell people a little bit about the country that we're visiting? Yes. Just so they have a little bit of context.
Don't know, Somalia is a country in East Africa. It's dubbed the Horn of Africa, literally because it looks like a horn on the side of the continent. I have some fun facts here to share with you, which was actually really fun to research. It's funny you think you know about your own country, but you really don't know as much as you think you do. I just learned that Somalia is slightly smaller than Texas. And when you go there, that surprised me so much because of how vast and how open the country feels. It would have felt like 6 Texases to me. And the capital of the country is Mogadishu, which we all know. The religion is Islam, and I think it's 99.9% Islam, actually, which is really high. Independence Day is July 1st. The new country of Somalia is formed through the union of a newly independent territories, which were British Somaliland and Italian Somaliland. Somalia is also known, which is just really great, as the nation of poets. And I think that has a lot to do with how long it took for the language to be written down. So there are stories in Somalia that are just memorized and passed on by reciting them. So the form that Somali poetry takes place in is generally verbal, not written, which is a really beautiful fact, I think. So I'm really excited to be reading this story. I mean, Abla has the actual book. I think she can flip through the pictures, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're able to see it.
Ooh. That is. Okay. Sorry, I don't know why the feedback is so weird. Okay. Yeah, no, I have the book, and what I'll do is I'll share my screen because I also have an online version of it
Perfect.
instead of like holding it up. But this book is also available for purchase online. And I'll share the link to that after the show is over. So give me one moment while I pull up the story, and then Sab will read it for us.
Perfect. Actually, I'm going to buy the link or the book on the link because I definitely want one.
Yeah, I was so excited. I think that like what's so special about having this book is the fact that like, you know, we come from a very traditional like I mean our traditional storytelling is oral. So we don't have a lot of books like this. Read growing up. So I'm so thankful to whoever it was that took the time and the effort to bring this book into the world because we all heard it verbally growing up.
I think it says Marian Hassan. Thank you to Marian Hassan for retelling this beautiful story.
Thank you, Marian.
And
thank you, Betsy, for your wonderful.
I think that the cool thing about, you know, it's a bit broken telephone with Somali stories sometimes. The version that my mom told is actually a bit different from this version, but I love this version just as much. Really
Agreed, I did too. And also this story single-handedly the reason why I hate horror movies. I'm just putting it out there. It scarred me for life as a child, and now I am over horror movies. So that isn't good promotion for the book, but I mean it's a good horror.
Depending what genre of film you like. So
yeah, that's true. All right, so I'm gonna share my screen with you guys so we can watch this beautiful illustrations as Sab reads it for us. All right, can you see it?
Yep.
Okay. All right, take it away, Sab.
So the title of the story is Dig Dead. It's a scary Somali folktale, and Dig Dead translates in Somali to long ear or big ear, I believe, but I think more accurately long ear. So there are a couple of inserts in the first couple pages, but I'm going to skip to the first page. A story, it's time for a story. Once upon a time, a fierce cannibal named Digded roamed the Hargega Valley in Somalia. Her horrific ways cursed the land once green and lush, turning it into a desert, a crumbling dust. The animals grew thin, and the rain went away for a very long time. Do you want to keep turning pages? Sorry, or should I just keep going?
Oh yeah. Sorry, I keep forgetting there's a Somali bit to it too.
Oh, Digded was as strong and swift as the wind. She had an unusually long pointy ear, with the strange power to hear even the gait of a camel's half-day's journey away. One morning, Digded set out on her daily hunt for her next meal. She rummaged anxiously through the steep hills, a hatchet in her hand and an empty sack on her back to bring home her finds. I shall come upon a young woman weaving mats under a thorn tree, she told herself. But throughout the dusty roads, Digded found no prey. Hungry and frustrated, she went home. Digded vowed never to return home empty-handed again. I will use my special powers to trap lonely travelers, decided Digded. Don't tired souls need some water and a moment's rest? I shall be lucky. Gather up some wood, grass, and lots of sticks, she ordered her only daughter. Then she lashed the grasses, wood, and sticks together, building a row of fake huts next to her old dwelling. After that, she ordered Bolder, a large vessel in which she stored human flesh, to whistle if anyone touched it. I shall hear you wherever I might be, she said. Exhausted, Digded drifted off to sleep, still hungry. That evening, along the dirt road near Digded's home, came a grieving widow with a chubby child on her back. The woman was determined not to rest until she returned to her family's home. But she and her child were hungry and tired. They were thrilled to come upon the huts. "Please give us some water so you might someday be spared of thirst," the woman asked in the traditional way. Digded's daughter quickly responded to the woman. "Here, drink this," she said, handing the woman a cup. "I will find you something to eat, but I must warn you. My mother is Digded. I fear she will harm you if she awakens," whispered Digded's daughter. "You must hide until she leaves for hunting tomorrow, and then get away fast." Trembling, the woman and her child hid inside a rolled grass mat lying behind a hut. Digded's daughter tried to sneak them a piece of dried meat, and as she did so, she bumped the lid of Boded. A piercing whistle broke through the calm night. Hoo, hoo. Digded leaped out of her sleep. "Oh, my Allah, who touched my vessel? I tried to find my dried goat meat inside the clay jar, but I mistakenly bumped Boded," said Digded's daughter. "You are lying to me," Digded said. She started to sniff and snuffle. "Is it a fat little boy I smell?" "Do you smell the creases of my own fat, mother?" asked the daughter. "I smell the flesh of a young woman," Digded yelled, growing impatient and angry. "It's my own flesh, mother," replied her daughter. Madly, Digded kept sniffing through each hut. Under the mat, the woman and her child heard the shouting and sniffing. They knew they would soon be discovered. Digded's daughter ran to the edge of their mat and whispered, "Run!" The woman stood with the child on her back. Trembling with fear, she could hardly move. She called upon Allah, "May we be spared from the troubles of Digded." With her prayers came the courage to run. She knew Digded could run as swiftly as the wind. "Digded will eat us alive, for no one can outrun Digded," thought the woman. But she kept running, and she kept praying. Faster and faster she ran, until she came to the edge of the Hargega Valley. "An enemy is after us. Make way for us to escape," she cried to the valley. The valley spoke. "If you are free of sin, I will allow you to cross. If not, I will eat you up." Because of their innocence, the woman and her child crossed the valley safely. Digder stood on the edge of the valley, staring at the woman and the flesh of the little boy far on the other side. Restless and crying, she chanted her mournful song. "O Hargega Valley, it traps the winds of one flying. It closes the way of the fast-running man. Look at the plumpness of the woman. Look at the little boy she is carrying." Then she made a desperate request of the valley. "Make way for me too, for I am after the chubby child and a woman who have tantalized my appetite." "If you are free of sin, I will allow you to cross. If not, I will eat you up," responded the valley. Digded attempted to cross, but as soon as she set foot at the edge, her flood of sins filled the valley, and she was swallowed up. At last, the rainfall returned to Hargega. The thorn bushes and tall grasses grew green and lush. The animals grew plump and produced ample milk. Chanting and singing filled the air. "Digded is dead! The land has peace." The end.
Thank you. Oh my God, I was so in the story. I forgot we finished.
It's a good story. Like reading it again was so nostalgic, and thank you for letting me read that.
Of course, thank you so much. I legit was just like, I was waiting for her to die. I was like, when is Digded gonna die?
I really wanted her to go when you were a kid. It's like
I really did. Yeah, because like the story of what happened was like I really just loved, whenever anybody would tell me a story, and like us Somalis, we love telling stories. And so my mom and my cousin were getting ready to go to a wedding, and they wouldn't let me go because I was too little. But my cousin was like, "Listen, in exchange, if you go to bed right now, I promise I'll tell you a story." I was like, "Okay, like let me get into bed." And she turned off all the lights and she told me this story.
It's cruel.
That was evil. Now I'm not going to sleep.
Yeah, I can't actually remember the first time my mom told it to me, but I remember my sister always bringing it up and being like, Dig Dad is going to get you if you don't do this, or she's going to get you if you don't do that. And it became like this mechanism for her to get me to do what she wanted, which is kind of
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. I feel like she was our version of like the boogeyman or like the Candyman.
Definitely.
Oh
Definitely.
my God. Horrific. But honestly, it was a good story. I mean, it was effective. And I think that's sort of like what I love about folktales is just um the lessons they teach you. I wonder what like lesson did you take away from Big Death, you know?
I think that how it's her daughter's kindness that always resonated with me, because you would think, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, but actually Digdad is so different from her daughter,
Mm-hmm.
who so readily shows kindness to these strangers she doesn't know and is aware of her mother's wrongdoing. So that always resonated with me for sure.
Which is really amazing, I think, and it's like a message of hope right now, especially like regardless of where you come from or who you come from, you can choose your own destiny.
I agree. Yeah, definitely. I don't think, the blood on the hands of our ancestors doesn't need to be, blood on your hands. Or I hope people take it that way.
I hope. One can hope, definitely. Like you can forge your own path, you can forge your own future, and also I really appreciate like that, evil is conquered.
Well,
Do you
it's
remember?
conquered.
Do you remember the song? I only like remember the first two lines. Like everybody celebrated. Like at the end, you said the English version, but it was like, "Take that in my toy, little
I
key."
can't remember it. I'm, I'm gonna see it.
I told you I was scarred, sis. I
Yeah.
remember.
It
That
has
song was like a song of hope.
a bit of a different version, but I'm gonna literally ask my mom as soon as I get off this. I'm like, how did it go when you sang it?
Yeah, I know. Like everybody has their own little version, I think, of the song too.
Yeah.
I wonder, how like we start stories usually, and it's interesting. I've been asking everybody like as I've been building this project, but how do you start a story in your own culture? And like for us, it's like sheka 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 harir.
Yeah.
And I wonder if like
Like the equivalent of Once Upon a Time. I mean,
yeah,
for other countries. Yeah. That's
mhm,
really interesting because I'm sure there's a different
mhm.
version of that everywhere.
Yeah, there is, and I wonder if even sorry.
You should people comment below. I'm
Yes,
curious. Yeah.
for sure. If you guys, yeah, submit. Let us know how you guys start stories like in your culture. But I'm also wondering, like within our own culture, like I wonder if there's like different people like from different areas that start stories in different ways, or if it's like for all of Somalia, it's Sheikh 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 Hadir,
I think that's for all of Somalia.
right?
I think. Yeah. I might be wrong, but
Yeah, I was about to be like,
yeah.
I'm not the expert, so if you guys know, let us know. We want to know.
Thanks
um,
so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming.
Very,
We really
very
appreciate you.
with you in America and in Minneapolis and the families of those who were lost so injusticeably. So yeah.
Thank you. I'm gonna check really quick if there's any questions for you specifically. If there's not, I will release you.
Oh, right. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. It's pretty late where you are, so
It
if
is.
you have, you know, she's like,
11 p.m. So I'm like, am I using real words?
don't worry, you did great. I'm actually extremely impressed. So I'm very appreciative of you. So are there any questions for Seth? All right then. You are free to go, madame. We appreciate you being here very much.
Love you, Abla. It's really nice to
Okay.
see you again too.
Heart you
Bye.
too. Bye. Well, that was all of the guests, you guys. And now I want you guys, first of all, I appreciate everyone for being here with us. I know we had some tech issues. We're a baby program, we're learning. And we are recording this session as well, so it will be available once the live is over. But the final portion of this is something that I'm extremely excited about. We thought, like I said, like when we were building this program, we were thinking a lot about, how we could provide people with different avenues of finding comfort, and so when we started with Autumn, it was all about like allowing you to feel your emotions, especially given everything that's going on right now. I don't know about you, but I think I've been feeling very numb. So that was very helpful because I was legit tearing up and I was very appreciative of her. But then when you have those emotions, what do you do with them? And so Rakaira was one amazing example of how you can use, meditation and yoga to work through the anxiety you might be feeling right now or the trauma you might be experiencing. And you can find her at Snowbit Vibes Yoga. We will include her social media in there too. And then we had the escape. Thank you so much for traveling with us to Somalia. That was a fun trip. And now the final portion is creating your own story. So we want to continue the healing. So after the live is over and after we post this video online, we really want to give you an opportunity and a place that you can go to continue the healing. And for some people, healing is creating stories. There's no real stipulation on how you can create the story. So if all that matters is that you create the story however naturally it comes to you. So whether you're going to write a story or you're going to draw it or you're going to cook or you're going to dance it out or create a fashion piece, whatever it is, now is the time for you to go and create a story. We will include instructions for how to do that exactly on the social media page. But for this week, I wanted to ask you a favor. Given everything that is going on in our city, in our world right now, I think that I'm really appreciative that we're finally having on a mainstream and global scale the discussion around what it's like to be a visible minority in this country, what it's like to be a Black person in this country and really around the world. And so, but that can be very overwhelming for Black people. And so, and isolating and really all the feelings. And so I was wondering if you all would do me a favor. And when you go out and you create your story, the original focus was I wanted you guys to make yourself the hero of the story. But for this week, I wanted to ask if you would create a story for the Black community. If you could either, if you're a non-Black person, if you wanted to show your solidarity, if you wanted to share love, whatever it is, there is no stipulation. The only request is that we create stories for the Black community. And I also thought that it wouldn't be very fair of me to ask you guys to create a story if I wasn't willing to do one too. So the final thing I'll do with you all this evening is share a story that I created, discussing how I'm feeling at this moment in time. I don't have the answers. I'm just putting that out there right now. And I hope that I don't know. But I'm going to read you the story now. And the only thing that I wanted to let you know is that the story is about two groups of people. It's the light people and the shadow people. And it's really a discussion, I think, I was trying to have around privilege and people who have privilege and what you do with the privilege that you have. So without further ado, here's the story. Today is Breonna Taylor's birthday, and George Floyd was murdered in my city. I'm a Black woman, daughter to Black parents, and sister to Black brothers. I'm struggling to articulate our pain. I don't have the words or the answers, but I wrote the story while I was trying to find them. I don't really think of myself as a leader. I can't really speak to you on behalf of anyone else. In fact, I don't think I'm really anything special. Not because I don't love myself, but because I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by greatness my entire life. Everyone around me always felt so exceptional, larger than life. So in their shadow, I struggled to find my own light, to figure out how to get it to shine, which is how I found writing. Right there in the shadows, writing was my lifeline, the place I could go to feel heard and seen. Writing never let me down. It's where I could be fully myself. But even when I had writing, I still felt a bit like a ghost. I still struggled. It felt like no matter where I went, the shadows went with me. No matter what kind of spotlight was shined on me, it felt like a part of me was still submerged in those shadows. I struggled to be seen as my whole self, as Abla, whoever she was. And that filled me with despair. But what I didn't realize was that my time in the shadows was preparing me. It was helping me develop the very unique skill I needed to become who I was meant to be. The skill of seeing other people stuck in the shadows too. The people society ostracized, ignored, or rejected. The other shadow people whose society had just decided weren't good enough as they were. Whole, beautiful people who seemed to be stuck in the shadows too. I could see them, hear them, feel them, and empathize with them. But I also had another skill, this one for survival, and it was camouflage. I knew how to move between the shadow people and the people who stood more fully in the light, shining brightly, confident in the knowledge that they were being seen and heard. When I was in camouflage mode, though, I would have to work a lot harder to hide the shadows. I had to blend in order to move around this world filled with light that never seemed to want to banish all of my shadows, so that I too could bask in the glow of the knowledge that I was accepted for exactly who I was. And so I went to school, and I learned more about my writing, my anchor, learned all about the different ways to communicate between the light and the shadow people, ways I could get the light people to see the shadow people, to try and help them understand each other, to help show the light people that sharing your light doesn't extinguish your own, but instead it banishes the shadows, so that we could all become light people, seen fully and shining brightly, accepted for who we were. But the problem with living a life in the shadows, it's not just lonely, it's dangerous. The light people have a hard time understanding the people in the shadows because they've spent so much time basking in the glow of their lights that they often forget that the light they are basking in alone was stolen from every person they pushed further into the shadows. And the bigger the divide grew, the bigger the hatred for the shadow people grew. They were strange to the light people, and the light people thought, well, if the shadow people really wanted the light, they would have worked hard like we did, and all of their shadows would have been banished. But since they're still stuck in the shadows, it must mean that they deserve it. And so they turn a blind eye to what is done to the shadow people in the shadows by other light people. And so the shadows and the people stuck in them, they grow and grow and grow until finally the shadow people are almost fully submerged in the shadows and are struggling not to be suffocated by the darkness they are drowned in. What will the light people do, we wonder? Will they hold out a helping hand and help us banish the shadows once and for all, so that we can all become light people? Or will they continue to push us further and further into the shadows until they extinguish any light we had left? Because when I think about what is happening right now, that's what it feels like. Like we're in the battle of our lives and we're battling to keep our light from being extinguished, from giving up, from losing hope. This moment reminds me of being 13 years old, standing in the sterile waiting room, listening to my mother break the news to my little brothers and I that our dad had been hospitalized. He's not going to look like your regular dad. He's coming out of a coma, so he's going to be a bit out of it, she said. He'll have a lot of tubes and wires coming out of him, so I don't want you to get scared, okay? He's still your dad. He's just hurting right now, so I need you to be strong for him. She looks at each of us, and her pleading eyes, seeking our strength and understanding, lingered a little longer on me. I nod my understanding. If you need to cry, she says in Somali, I need you to cry on the inside. Let it fill up your stomach, and come tell me when you've had enough. I'll take you outside, away from your dad, so you can let it out. We go inside soon after that, and she's right. Our dad doesn't look like our dad, and it scares us, even though we try not to show it. My mom had pulled me aside and pleaded with me to stay strong, that she needed me to, so that's what I did. I bottled up everything and pushed it deep, deep down. My youngest brother, 7 years old at the time, couldn't. He goes up to my mom, tugs on her skirt, and whispers to her, "Mama, my stomach is full. Can we please go outside now?" And I think I understand what my little brother must have been feeling in that moment. Because, Mama, my stomach is full now too. Can't hold the pain in anymore, nor do I have the strength to hide the tears. Every day feels like a battle to keep my light from being extinguished, and sometimes it really feels like I'm losing. I don't know how much more I can take, how much more any of us shadow people can take, how many more videos we can watch of other shadow people being brutally killed, how much more fighting we can do on our own. I'm just so tired. And I know that people say it's important to take care of yourself, but how do you do that? When you're fighting for your basic human rights, nothing you do ever feels like enough. Things like self-care can feel frivolous because what's the point of taking care of your life if you don't know whether or not you'll be around long enough to live it? So like I told you, I'm not a leader or anyone special, just a shadow person who's struggling to not be suffocated under the shadows she keeps being pushed further into, who's also trying to stand up for other shadow people who are struggling too, wondering what the light people will do, what it'll take for them to finally share their light and stop creating more shadow people. I hope that they learn that there's more than enough light for all of us to shine brightly in this world. The end. Rest in peace to Breonna Taylor, who would have been set 27 today, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and everyone that came before them, who has died after them. Just know that you didn't die in vain. I wish that you didn't have to die at all, but I hope you know that you didn't die in vain. And I hope you're somewhere out there, finally free of all the shadows, basking in the glow of your own light, free to shine as brightly as you want to, finally accepted for all that you are, because you were always a light person to me. And that's it, y'all. That is the story. So again, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to every guest that was here. Thank you to Autumn X for your beautiful music. Thank you to Rakira Snow for your beautiful meditation. Thank you to Sabrina Dora Elba for this beautiful experience of getting to travel to Somalia. I want to thank you, the audience, for attending. I want to thank the behind the scenes people here at Eastside Freedom Library who helped me with this session. And a special shout out to Seema, who's a wonderful illustrator, such a fan of her, and my cousin, who has just been a really amazing support system to me as I've put this project together. Thank you, thank you, thank you for stopping by, you guys. I hope you're taking care of yourselves out there. And I really, really look forward to seeing you again next week, to interacting with you throughout the week, to seeing your stories. And I truly hope we get to heal together. That's all for me, and I hope you all have a good night. See you again next week. Bye.